Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling episode of Shell's Spooky Stories. I'm your host, Shell, and tonight we have a tale that will haunt your dreams and stir your imagination. It's a story of a restless spirit, a tragic love, and eerie midnight sightings that continue to this day. So dim the lights, settle in, and prepare yourself for the Nurse of Midnight Tower. During World War II, there stood a hospital on the outskirts of town, a place where soldiers were brought to recover from their wounds. It was a place of pain and healing, of hope and despair. Among the many nurses who tended to the injured was a young woman named Eleanor. She was known for her kindness and dedication, and her presence brought comfort to those in her care. But Eleanor's heart belonged to one soldier in particular, a young man named James. They had met in the hospital and their love had blossomed amidst the chaos of war. They promised each other a future, a life together, once the war was over. However, fate had other plans. James was sent back to the front lines and Eleanor waited anxiously for his return. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, but James never came back. Heartbroken and filled with despair, Eleanor's spirit was crushed by the weight of her loss. One fateful night, unable to bear the pain any longer, Eleanor climbed the water tower on the hospital grounds. She intended to end her suffering, to join James in the afterlife. But as she stood on the edge, something went wrong. She slipped, falling not to her death, but into the reservoir below. Eleanor drowned, her body lost to the depths of the water. Years passed, and the hospital was eventually closed, its memories fading into history. The building was repurposed as a boarding school, its long corridors now filled with the laughter and chatter of students. But the past was never truly forgotten, and Eleanor's spirit remained tethered to the place of her sorrow. It wasn't long before the students began to notice strange occurrences, especially around midnight. Whispers of ghostly figures dressed in nurses' uniforms wandering the grounds and near the old water tower. Some claimed to have seen her pale face, her eyes filled with sorrow, searching for her lost love. One night, a group of students decided to investigate. They were skeptical, eager to prove ghost stories wrong. Among them were Lily, Tom, Anna and Jack. They had heard the tales and wanted to see the ghost for themselves. They gathered near the water tower, just before midnight, armed with torches and a sense of bravado. The air was thick with anticipation and a cool breeze rustled the leaves. The water tower loomed above them, the silent sentinel in the darkness. As the clock struck midnight, the temperature dropped suddenly and a dense fog began to roll in. The ground huddled closer, their torches flickering in the damp air. They strained their eyes, peering into the mist. Anna, maybe we should go back. This doesn't feel right. But before they could turn back, they saw her. Emerging from the fog, a faint, ghostly figure of a nurse in a uniform. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow, and filled with unending sorrow. She moved slowly, as if searching for something, or someone. Jack. Oh my God, it's her. Lily's voice trembling called out to the apparition. Eleanor? Are you looking for James? The ghost paused, turning her sorrowful gaze towards them. For a moment the air was filled with a deep aching sadness. Then, as quickly as she appeared, she vanished into the night, leaving the students standing in stunned silence. They ran back to the dormitory, their minds racing with what they had seen. The experience left them shaken, but it also filled them with a sense of empathy for the tragic figure they had encountered. They began to research Eleanor's stories, uncovering the details of her life and her love for James. They learned that James had indeed died in the war. His body never returned home. Eleanor's despair was understandable, her haunting a reflection of love that was never fulfilled. The students decided to honour her memory, hoping to bring her some peace. They held a small ceremony near the watchtower, laying flowers and saying a prayer for Eleanor and James. They hoped that by acknowledging her pain and her love, they could help her find rest. Lily. Eleanor, we remember you. We hope you find peace you deserve. For a while, the sightings of Eleanor ceased, and the school returned to its usual routine. But some nights, when the fog rolls in and the clock strikes midnight, students still report seeing a ghostly figure near the watchtower. Searching, always searching. So, dear listeners, if you ever find yourself at the old boarding school, take a moment to remember Eleanor. Her story is a reminder that love can transcend even the boundaries of life and death, and that some spirits are never truly at rest. Thank you for joining me for this haunting tale, this poignant reminder of the enduring power of love and the lingering echoes of sorrow. Until next time, dear listeners, stay safe and keep the lights on. If you have a spooky story you'd like to share, please submit it to our Stand Store, which is in the description below. Your story could be featured in our next episode. Sweet dreams and beware of the shadows.